What's up, guys and gals? It's your host of the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the next piece of One Piece. Chapter 1082 review. And before we even get into this one, because for those of you who don't know, I've had a little bit of computer troubles, as it were, right? I've had a few computer troubles this week and stuff like that, and a little bit of procrastinating, a little bit of this, that, and the other thing happening, so this review is out a little late. Funnily enough, there was a reaction video recorded for this chapter almost 2 days ago now. And then I made a blunder. I made a mistake, ladies and gentlemen. I decided to check in with the One Piece community. On Twitter, on Reddit, on Discord, on any social media platform. And put it to you this way, I would rather serve a burnt pork chop to Gordon Ramsay and get ridiculed than argue with the people about this chapter. What is wrong? I have lost all faith in the One Piece community. I really have. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it because I don't think my reaction... I would have to make like 4 separate videos if I just don't do it all right here. So... And since I'm procrastinating and I'm busy and stuff like that, we're just going to do it all right here instead of releasing the reaction video. If you guys really wanted, I'll post it. It's fine. But we're going to get into this because I had no problem with the chapter. In fact, here's what bothers me the most, is that this chapter, bar none, here's what it should have been. A fantastic, buggy character chapter. Start, stop, end of sentence. This was a buggy chapter. 110%. It was fantastic for Buggy as a character. This was a character building chapter for Buggy. End, stop, end of sentence. The One Piece community has butchered it, ruined it, made it about something that it's not, and I'm just... yeah. Okay, so either way, I feel like we need to talk about all these issues, but we'll do that in proper form. So we begin the chapter with a cover page. It's just Chopper eating Zeus thinking he's cotton candy. Fair enough, mistake, Chopper, you go girl. Now, then we get Vice Admiral T-Bone was killed. Now, we really need to get into this one because T-Bone, for those of you who don't know, and I actually had to look it up, I was like, I know that motherfucker. I know T-Bone. I've heard, I've seen him before, and I was thinking, is he a filler admiral? Like, what's the deal? Like, what's the deal? And then I looked it up, and he was, of course, on the train in the Water 7 arc. And I'm like, all right, yeah, that guy, right. He's actually good. He sliced his Sea King in half. He's a badass. And granted, fantastic for him to be back in the story, and also clearly has bumped his way up from captain to vice admiral. And I'm sitting here like, hell yeah. Wait a minute, he died? Oh, well, what the hell? Like, he was actually kind of badass. He was kind of cool. Then we'll get into it, but Sengoku and Tsuru are listening to this news alongside of the fact that Garp decided, hey, we're going to Hajinosu, let's go. And they're like, wait, what the hell? So clearly Sengoku and Tsuru were not informed of Garp's idea of let's go to Beehive Island and absolutely decimate the Blackbeard crew, because that's clearly what they're doing as of last chapter. But yeah, they were not informed of that. So there is this and that and the other thing going on with that, but T-Bone being killed because of the Cross Guild. Now, I'm gonna go off on a limb and say that T-Bone, from what I did actually rewatch the anime recently up until about just after Enies Lobby, all filler arcs included, and when I remembered T-Bone, and then I was like, oh yeah, that guy, I got it. I remember him being very charismatic and very honorable. So when we're going to get into this, and we are going to get into this, T-Bone's loss is a big deal, I feel. Not for the Marines, but for us to understand the populace as a whole. I feel like T-Bone almost willingly surrendered himself in a way. That might be crazy to you, like you guys, but I don't think it is, because T-Bone seemed to be one of those like honorable swordsmen. He seemed to be one of those guys who had a moral code, a code of honor. And when he saw, because they talk about like this Pepe Kingdom and all this shit and how terrible it was, and then when we jump past the Sengoku and Tsuru scene, we go over to Buggy's island and all that stuff. I believe it's I can't even think of the name. Anyway, the island that Buggy and the Cross Guild is on, there's this old man who's sitting there like, I am so grateful that I heard that my family received the payment, but I clearly can't go back because I murdered a vice admiral. And this is some guy, no hockey, no skills, no nothing, this scared old man. And I'm thinking, nah, even a vice admiral couldn't be jumped by the local citizenry. I feel like, and he's weeping about this, like he's shaking, he's crying, I feel like he literally, and when they describe the conditions that his village and his wife and his children were going to starve and they were going to die of starvation, I feel like T-Bone would have been like, if my death can literally save your village and your family, go ahead. Because I thought we were supposed to learn, not necessarily all the 6 paths, or what, that's Naruto shit, what is it, the Rokushiki and all that shit, the shit that the CP uses, but I thought all vice admirals had to have a level of observation and armament hockey, so there's no way a normal citizen can kill a vice admiral straight up. It's not going to happen. So I sort of feel like T-Bone was not weak, he literally was like, and T-Bone might be alive. T-Bone might have said, hey, tell them you killed me, I will go into hiding, I'll disguise my face, no one need to know, you get the money to help your family. T-Bone, from what we remember, and remember, granted, this was more filler, there was a lot more in the anime. Well, not a lot more, but there was more in the anime. T-Bone was that dude. You know what I mean? I feel like he was the guy to say, hey, I'd rather, you know, help you out and be on the run than not. Like, you know what I mean? The immediate problem in front of him, T-Bone was the guy to help. So yeah, I really, and here's another part of the chapter nobody is talking about from what I understand. Nobody, granted I haven't really watched many reviews yet, so it is what it is, but so I'm very curious to see like King of Lightning and Tekking and people's other reviews and see if they focus more on the fact that, is T-Bone really dead? Like, I question whether T-Bone's really dead, and even if he is dead, he probably self-sacrificed himself. I feel like he pulled a Jesus Christ sort of mentality to save a village, a problem right in front of him. It seemed to be his way. Anyways, that's what I feel. And now, of course, this poor old man cannot go back to his family and stuff, but granted, now his family is able to, you know, they have the money and stuff. And apparently Buggy, or, well, not Buggy necessarily, but Crocodile and Mihawk, the ones in the real control, made good on their word. They killed a vice admiral. All the money was given and sent where it was supposed to. And he said, I've heard from my family, and I have no reason to disbelieve this. There's no reason to disbelieve the fact that, you know, there is a shredded doubt that Vice Admiral T-Bone is actually being killed, but there is no reason to believe that, you know, that the money was sent where it was supposed to be sent. So, once again, the Cross Guild actually being a happy medium in this One Piece world, as far as I'm concerned. Now, after the talk about T-Bone, we get into more of the Cross Guild dynamic, which we all know is pretty much a farce. But they, apparently, Buggy has these shipwrights. There was a flashback scene like, hey, I got some of the best shipwrights in the world. Don't worry, we're going to have this grand cruiser of a ship. And it is grand. It is fantastic. This is this huge galleon of a ship. It's amazing. It's got like 3, you know, masts with sails galore and all this stuff. And of course, but it's got the Buggy aesthetic. And poor Buggy has to go to what they call the meeting room. So Mihawk and Crocodile said, You expect us to use this thing. Let's take it to the meeting room. And of course, Buggy is absolutely, beside himself. Now, in the meeting room, we see that, once again, anybody who thought that the whole having the chop no me and all that stuff is any indication that Crocodile and Mihawk can't cut him up and keep it that way is kind of... Yeah, you kind of lost all your credibility right here because, no, that is not how this works. Because Buggy is literally hanging from a hook, his head alone, beaten to shit, bloodied, and saying, please just kill me. Just let it be over. Now, this is where we get a conversation. There's a lot to digest here, so bear with me. So, Crocodile and Mihawk both agree that public awareness of the Cross Guild is growing, and they know about us. Fantastic, that's what we need. The Navy is also, however, understanding that we pose a threat, a bit of an issue. So what we need to have is unparalleled influence to foreign utopia in the same sense that the Yonko have. Basically what Crocodile is saying is that the Cross Guild needs to become Yonko level protected, in a point that the Marines, without a sound strategy, would never dare, like for example, all these years, the Marines have never launched an assault against Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, or Shanks. What they did was when Shanks came, when Whitebeard came to them, when he stepped on their front door, they reciprocated. But they never picked a fight. And still, with all the shit going on ever since Marineford, they've still never picked a fight. With Wano, with what? Green Bull was at a line and against orders when he did it. So, once again, they have never actually picked a fight. And what Crocodile is talking about, same with Mihawk, is discussing the idea of we need to basically be on that level. The Cross Guild is gaining infamy, and it won't be long until the Marines see us as a threat. What we need is the same level of protection. We need to bolster ourselves to be the fact that, hey, Marines aren't just going to charge up against us every Saturday. We need that shit. And to become a strong military state, which is what Yonko territories essentially are. They are strong military states, right? So, all sound, all well planned out by, of course, the mastermind Crocodile and Mihawk at the helm. And Mihawk agrees, like, our overwhelming power and our names will carry a lot of weight, but we need more. So, Buggy is thinking about it. But then just says, I mean, realistically, he has nothing left to lose. He is fodder and a pawn of these two better men, when you think about it. Then he says, all of a sudden, we need a lot of money, we need a lot of wealth, because even though they sent out bounties, clearly there's a lot of wealth involved, and I don't think they necessarily expected people to show up and like, hey, we killed a vice admiral, that's worth X number of berries, right? And it's like, oh shit, yeah. Great, yeah. Here you go. It's like, shit, we're not making money. Like, how is the Cross Guild making money? And substantial money to keep up with the bounties. That's what Crocodile and Mihawk are trying to figure out. Like, we need to, find a place. Like, do we need to rob a bank? Like, what do we need to do? And Buggy says, wealth and power beyond your wildest dreams. So Buggy starts the original speech at the beginning of One Piece, saying, I know you may do away with me, but how can you, Mihawk and Crocodile, call yourself pirates like that? Now, here is where we're going to get into an issue with the fan base, but here is where the problem lies. So, Mihawk and Crocodile, they decide to listen, and Buggy has a speech. It's not a bad speech. Here's the deal. This is a Buggy chapter. People take it as a Mihawk power scaling chapter. We'll get into that because people are wrong. But we are going to definitely get into that. But this is a Buggy growing chapter because he starts off with the speech we heard, what I heard back in the goddamn 90s, by the way. I'm that old. I heard it first. Y'all are children. But here's the deal, is that he says power, fame, wealth, beyond your wildest dreams, right? And says, you must have heard, Red Hair is making his move too. We need to be on the Pirate King's crew together, but circumstance prevented us from going to Laugh Tale. But we have the opportunity here. You want power, you want fame, you want wealth, you want protection. Here's what we do. Let's go get the goddamn One Piece is essentially what he says. Now, within that, before we even get into Crocodile and Buggy's, because it's sort of a two-parter of a speech, here's where Buggy develops as a character. And this is the essential thing that people need to take away from this chapter. Not Mihawk and Crocodile fucking power scaling. Here's what we need to take away. Buggy does not dislike Shanks. He was disappointed in Shanks. We have this scene, we've had it for years, in a totally new context. From Buggy's POV, from his point of view, we have now seen how Buggy felt. Buggy knew that he wasn't King of the Pirates. Buggy knew he was not going to be the next Roger. He knew that Shanks was. He saw it, he knew it, he was envious of it, but he accepted it as a comrade, as even, hard to say, but almost a friend. And then, 24 years ago, when Gold D. Roger was executed, he said it. He said, I couldn't measure up to him, but you and your crew are going to reach Laugh Tale. So when he rejected, the only side we saw from the scene was Shanks saying, Buggy, join my crew, and Buggy saying no, as though he was a brat. But that wasn't the thing. Shanks said, I've changed my mind. And his thoughts were, but you're supposed to be Captain Roger's protege. You're supposed to be the next Roger. You're supposed to be the next Pirate King. Like, he felt it as a disappointment, as a betrayal, as a disgrace to the name of their former captain. Buggy loved Roger. And he had begrudging respect for Shanks when Shanks said, even when Roger fails, me and my crew, we will go for the One Piece. Had Shanks not said these words, had Shanks said, I've changed my mind, I'm not going to go to Laugh Tale yet, Buggy would have joined Shanks' crew. 100%, no one will convince me otherwise. Buggy was more than willing to join Shanks' crew if it meant we're going to put Shanks on the throne. We're going to take another member of the Roger crew that deserves to be there, and we're going to put them... Granted, clearly Shanks has more facts, just like Roger and the rest of the crew did. Shanks has more facts than Buggy had. But Buggy's disappointment, we never saw it from that angle before. And we're getting it in quite literally black and white, and it's fantastic. It puts Buggy's development perfectly. So when Shanks says, come with me, Buggy, when he says, I'm not going to work for you, you idiot, you coward, it's because he's disappointed in Shanks. He's thinking that without Roger, Shanks is scared or this or the other thing. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that Buggy feels betrayed by Shanks. He took a willingly number 2 spot or a seat back from Shanks because he always thought that Sean Brighter had the better potential and would, when Roger died, Shanks would be the next one in line. And for Shanks to just give up in his mind was the ultimate act of not only betrayal to Buggy's ideals, but he feels like he betrayed his captain, and Buggy loved Roger. He's never said a bad word about Roger. If anybody disagrees with that, you're full of shit. Buggy loved his captain. He respected and loved his captain. And the fact that he feels that Shanks betrayed their now dead captain, he wants nothing to do with Shanks as a result. Granted, it's rash, but it puts so much in perspective. This is a huge Buggy chapter. We'll go on the Mihawk shit later, but I want to hammer home on this. That's why I'm repeating myself 6 times now. This is a Buggy character development chapter. It's great as a Buggy chapter, and I'm tired of fucking power scalers in this community trying to ruin 1082 and gloss over the fact that Buggy just went leaps and bounds in character development, and nobody's talking about it. What is wrong with the One Piece community's reading comprehension? let's move on. Now, okay, this is where we continue Buggy's dream, which Crocodile shares, Mihawk does not. We'll get to that. But Crocodile does originally share this dream. So Buggy decided that if Shanks isn't going to be the one, he was willing to step aside and not even bother challenging. He was more than willing to be a part of Shanks' entourage rather than go for the goal himself. But now that he knows, he thinks Shanks betrayed Roger's ideals and his former captain. So he says, you know what? Screw it. We're back on even footing after so many years. You know what? If I'm a Yonko, then I have the dream too. And I want to be king of the pirates. And you're like, and he's sniveling and snotting and crying his eyes out. Beaten bloody and blue by Crocodile and Mihawk, and he doesn't care. And he's going off on this limb. You know what? If nobody had respect for Buggy, and I'm not being memey right now, like, we're not gonna meme this shit. I mean, seriously, if no one had honest respect for Buggy, which I doubt a lot of people did, I'm probably one of them. Right here, Buggy deserves a level of respect. He is facing down, and once again, power scaling communities be damned. He is facing down some of the most powerful members in the new world. And he's saying, fuck it, I'm gonna tell them exactly what I feel. I'm gonna tell them my dream. I'm gonna do a goddamn Disney song in the middle of facing down death, and I don't care. And respect, because he's finally saying, he's admitting, now that we have the context of how he felt about Shanks, this all means so much more. And it actually made me like, all right, Buggy, let's go. I don't want, like, a lot of people have said, many people have theorized for a number of years as a gag, Buggy will end up being the Pirate King. Maybe it happens as a gag. I doubt Oda's actually going to do that, but it's a fun gag to think about. But the fact of the matter is that he's here and he's saying it just like Crocodile used to say it. Just like a lot of them used to say it. And that is what he brings up. Fame, power, wealth, why stop there when we can have it all? Let's go for it. Let's go and claim it. Let's go get the One Piece, the ultimate treasure. And Mihawk and Crocodile are like, wait, what? And then, so they beat him down and they're like, wait, what? Like, what are you talking about, you dried up old clown? Like, what are you talking about? And this is where Mihawk says, and it's legit, like, Crocodile and Mihawk are not saying this because they're wrong or they're mean, they're stating facts. So Crocodile says, I can't believe, because he says, I'm on even footing with Red Hair. And Crocodile says, no, you're not. You're here because we let you be here. You are an accident, you know, and it's true. He's a Yonko by accident, but it's still, he still is a Yonko. Though Crocodile, once again, Crocodile and Mihawk aren't doing this to be mean, they're stating facts. And then Mihawk also states, you expect us to be the ones to carry you to the top then. Because clearly Buggy will never be king of the pirates without assistance like Croc and Dracula or Mihawk. So 100% you have to agree with that. Here is where everybody loses their goddamn minds. So we'll get to it in a minute, but Crocodile continues in the last double spread saying, we're not playing pirates. Similar to what Zoro once said when Sanji and Luffy and everybody wanted to go after Usopp. And Zoro said, hold the fuck on. We're not playing pirates. This is serious goddamn business. Once again, Zoro is the first mate. Don't care if Oda confirmed it or not. It's just the way it is. Technically, Nami's the captain if you want to, like, split hairs on, you know, what Oda decides. So, but here we have Crocodile saying, we're not playing pirates. This is serious business. You don't have a clue, let alone a plan. Mihawk says, and we'll get into this, do you really expect us to go and pick fights with Red Hair, Blackbeard, and Straw Hat? 3. We'll get into that line. Now, this is where Buggy says, I don't care. It's a scramble for the treasure. We don't need to actually defeat them. We just need to beat them to it. Let me show you. There are words that like bring up every pirate. It lights a fire under every pirate's soul. And so he grabs the Den Mushi and said, "It's time for us to go and finally claim the One Piece, friends. Why did you set sail out to sea? Why was Gold D. Rogers so great? Because he lit a fire under all of us. We all just strive for the One Piece." And it's an epic, and I'm not doing it justice, it's an absolutely epic scene. Unfortunately, of course, Mihawk and Croc are absolutely like, oh my fucking Christ. Like, they are done with this because, and we'll get into that. But, for two different reasons. Crocodile's reason for being pissed off at Buggy's proclamation to the entire Cross Guild of, we're gonna go get the One Piece, is for one reason. Mihawk's is another. We'll get into both. But the rest of the chapter, we end up meeting a couple by name in the Kawabaka Kingdom. We meet a lot of the vice captains of the Revolutionary Army. Not really going to go into detail over them. I'm not that interested, honestly, in the Revolutionary Army. It's not my thing. It's not my speed. Sabo is more than happy and alive. And Koala is very happy to see him. Now, Sabo, at the end of the chapter, says he's going to tell you what really happened at Reverie. So apparently he wasn't on the island when the place was eradicated by Im Sama. We don't know why or how, but this is what we've learned. So Ivankov and Dragon are about to learn what really happened at Reverie. Okay, so end of chapter right there, right? Now, let us talk about the Mihawk and Crocodile Slam. Okay, so let's start with Crocodile because it's going to be short. Let's start with Croco Boy. All right, so the reason Crocodile is unhappy at this proclamation isn't the idea of taking on the different Yonko in a chase for the treasure. Once again, Crocodile in his youth wanted to become King of the Pirates. We saw this from cover serials. We know this about his character and stuff like that. And he has actually long given up on the dream. He's decided instead of being James Bond, he'll be a Bond villain. That has been his motif throughout the last couple decades of his life. The idea that Buggy would be so bold, it struck a nerve with Crocodile. Crocodile's not necessarily afraid, because once again, this is the same Crocodile that went for Whitebeard's head at Marineford. He's not afraid about taking on Yonkos, but Crocodile is also a businessman. He's also intelligent and smart. And hyping up a crew that is not ready, let's be real, is the Cross Guild really ready to take on the Blackbeard Pirates? For all intents and purposes, all we know about the Cross Guild is that they have two good combatants. Very powerful. Oh, Mr. One is there as well. So 3 strong combatants. I assume that the Buggy crew is mostly fodder. Mostly. Can you honestly see these guys taking on any of these crews without severe casualties? Crocodile is pragmatic. Almost to a fault. He started Baroque Works under the guise of being Mr. Zero for the whole purpose of creating an underworld of this powerful organization that would never be traced back to him. His idea is also, once again, using the James Bond villain analogy, his idea is not necessarily to stay completely under the radar, but not show his hand to everybody else on the table, right? So Crocodile is pissed off for a couple of reasons. It's not about fighting down Yonko or admirals or marines. His deal is that, hey, we need more capital, we need more wealth, we need this, we need that, we need the other thing. He is playing the long game, and Buggy inciting a crew to, let's just go after the ultimate treasure right out of the gate right now when they are barely starting out, is sort of like starting an RPG where you're level 1 and you go fight the level 99 boss. Probably not a good idea. So Crocodile has that. Also, once again, the other flip side of that is the emotional and mental idea of this, is that Crocodile long since gave up on the idea of being the Pirate King. But deep down, Crocodile may still harbor some level of, hey, I never really truly gave up on that dream. Gecko Moria did, Crocodile did, a lot. We've met a lot of characters that gave up on the dream of being the Pirate King, but maybe in some small way Crocodile still believes, and the fact it struck a nerve with Crocodile because the fact of the matter is that Buggy is saying that lights a fire under all pirates for the last 25 years is to go get the One Piece, to go follow in Roger's footsteps and stuff, which Crocodile, we know he was at the execution, he did do. So this is striking a nerve, at the very least, with Crocodile by that proclamation. Now, that's Crocodile. Crocodile's reasoning is sound and fine. And once again, I don't think inciting the Cross Guild to go after the One Piece is tactically, business savvy, money-making, wealth, power, there is zero benefit to doing this right now. All it does is raise morale, but for a goal that is unlikely to happen. So now you have a huge problem on your hands. Because the morale of the guild wasn't based in going to get the One Piece. And now Mihawk and Crocodile have to basically try their best to still pretend like they're going after it. Like from a business perspective, it's almost like if you started a business, a computer business, you said, we're going to go take down Microsoft. And you had 2,000 employees. Yeah, we're going to go take down Microsoft. And they worked, 10 hours a day, not 8. They worked 10, 12 hours a day to make this dream a reality. And they doubled down their efforts. Morality was high. And then they find out that the heads of the company have no intention of taking down Microsoft. What do you think is going to happen to those 2,000 employees? See, Crocodile is a businessman at the end of the day. He's a morale and a businessman. He knows how to sling it. Buggy is offering an impossible dream to impossible people. It's unrealistic, it's naive, and what happens when the dream is over? I'm not going to deny Buggy his own dream, but this is why Crocodile does not like it. It's the same reason Mihawk does not like it. So, next up, let's get into the Mihawk slander, because oh boy, let's go. So Mihawk, we all know what the community is currently thinking about this chapter in regards to Mihawk, but and the slander, of course, the slander, and but just wait a minute, guys. Do you smell that? Yeah, because I smell the same thing. It's the same thing I dealt with for over 12 years when it came to Garp and Garp slander. Huh. Funny thing that. I wonder if all the people currently slandering Mihawk slandered Garp for the last decade. Huh. Funny coincidence. I don't know what relevance it has, but I mean, God forbid we actually take dialogue at face value and have some reading comprehension, right? Right? I mean, yeah, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. I have more faith in the One Piece community, clearly. The big thing from Mihawk is, same with Crocodile, wanted to sort of slip under the radar. We know this about his character. The reason he joined the Warlords was a quick and easy life where he could come and go as he pleased without people bothering him. Same with beforehand when he joined the Cross Guild. Crocodile convinced him on the lieu of, yeah, well, do you like an island surrounded by Marines all the time? You join me, well, you can live an easier life. And then when we first found out about the Cross Guild, he is literally stated to say, hey, I have no intention of being the Pirate King. I have no intention of being a Yonko. I have no intention of anything. I don't give a shit about titles and power and all this stuff. I just want to be able to sit back, drink my red wine, and put my feet up. Mihawk wants a peaceful life. That's all he wants. So, at the time, joining the Cross Guild, when his island was surrounded continuously, even though he himself admitted attacking them, they'll just send more. sounded like a good idea in theory at the time. Surrounding yourself with power. Once again, Marines don't exactly surround Shanks' islands. So the same idea. Mihawk was going to join somebody, so he might as well join Croc. And by joining Croc, I don't see Marines around this goddamn island. So the fact of the matter is that Mihawk wasn't doing this for any other reason other than to basically sit back, enjoy, and continue just, yeah, I'll come and go as I please. Maybe I'll attack some people. Maybe I won't. It's kind of exciting, but I still want to lean back and have a good time, right? I mean, Shanks has a good time having a brawl, but he also doesn't go out actively looking for fights. So the same idea with Mihawk. Mihawk is a similar personality. He's sitting there going, yeah, like, it's a little exciting to be on the run again, but it doesn't mean that I want to fight tooth and nail 7 days a week, 24/7. You know, like, I still like my creature comforts, as it were, right? So, Mihawk's statement, here's the big thing. Here's the big thing that people are worried about. There are two, actually. One is the sweat drop. We'll talk about the sweat drop first. Is the sweat drop when Buggy claims that over the Den Den Mushi, saying that they're going to go and claim the One Piece, and the whole crew is like, yeah! Crocodile snaps his cigar in half, and Mihawk is having sweat drops. People are saying that that means he's afraid of Yonko. First off, the proclamation to fighting Yonko was before that, and there were no sweat drops, so your argument is false. Second off, when that happened, and Crocodile and Mihawk were like, oh, why you? Is because Buggy is taking matters into his own hands. Crocodile and Mihawk are in charge, and Buggy is literally, once again, for all the reasons I talked about with Crocodile, is instilling a hope in the entire Cross Guild that they have no intention on following through on. And that is a very thin layer of ice, that a terrible position that Buggy has now put them in. This is more about worrying about keeping the Cross Guild in line and together, while still not going after the One Piece after Buggy saying such stupid things. Granted, great for Buggy, bad for the Cross Guild, right? So that is the reason for the sweat drop. It had nothing about going after Shanks or Luffy or Blackbeard or anybody like that. So pull your head out of your ass, have some reading comprehension. Number two is, of course, the whole, when he said, do you really expect us to go and pick fights with Red Hair, Blackbeard, and Straw Hat? That's another thing people are using. Well, here's the deal with that one, is that Mihawk is saying, once again, he wants a comfortable life. You don't poke the bear. It doesn't mean Mihawk is afraid. It means poking the bear unnecessarily is a dumb fucking idea. Saying Goku said it about Whitebeard, Garp said it about Kaido and Big Mom. Like, don't poke the goddamn bear. Don't go after Rayleigh. Garp himself, Garp, said, let's not even bother with Rayleigh. Let the Dark King do his shit, because it's just gonna be a bloodbath. I don't want to deal with it. Remember, these guys are sort of old and tired. Not necessarily Mihawk necessarily. He's in his 40s. I think he's like 46, 48. But Mihawk is sitting there like, so while we're still building, once again, we're still building this Cross Guild. They were just having a discussion about building up wealth and capital. As in, they aren't strong enough, like a Yonko crew yet. And Buggy goes and declares this shit, and he's like, seriously, you want us to just go up with this mediocre force, which once again, other than Crocodile, Mr. One, and Mihawk, amounts to, from what I understand, nothing, and you want us to go and pick a fight with Blackbeard and Red Hair and Luffy all at one time? Are you insane? Granted, seriously, add Garp and Sengoku to this lineup, and that's still a terrible idea. That's still a terrible idea, alright? Mihawk is not afraid of picking fights. He's saying it's a dumb idea to poke the bear. And he's not wrong. Alright? The whole reason the Marines never poked the Yonko's bear. Like, once again, anybody on an Admiral agenda can sit down and shut the fuck up about Mihawk, because they've had 3 admirals for 800 years as far as we know. There's always been 3 admirals. They've never picked a fight with Yonko in the history of 800 years. So why didn't they go to Whole Cake Island? Why didn't they go to Wano? Why didn't they go pick a fight with Whitebeard or Shanks? Why? If you can't answer that question, the reason you can't answer that question is because you're fucking wrong. The idea is, don't poke the goddamn bear. The idea of casualties is stupid. It's not a bad plan. The idea, Mihawk and Crocodile are sitting there going, we already have enemies in the Marines. Why would we make an enemy of the other the most powerful crews in the world at the same time? Like, if you already have a target on your back, you don't piss off the other people that didn't give a shit about you in the first place. Mihawk is being practical, not afraid. And if people would stop power scaling and having agendas, they might understand. And Mihawk and Crocodile are practical. Buggy's a dreamer. And that's the difference. It's that simple. And that's what I'm ending the video off on. 2 practical people dealing with a naive dreamer. And now they're going to have to pick up the pieces like Lego blocks and fucking deal with it. It's got nothing to do with Mihawk being afraid. It's got nothing to do with Crocodile being afraid. And if we want to talk sweat drops, S-Hawk made Blackbeard sweat. Zoro made S-Hawk sweat. Zoro over Blackbeard. Fight me. See how easy it is to do shit with sweat drops? So, yeah. None of that shit. Don't look into that, because, once again, the sweat drops had nothing to do with fighting Yonkos. But anyways, that's the chapter. That's the discussion. I could have probably made this into 2 videos, but I chose to just make it one big, long review and X out the reaction, because the reaction was about 35 minutes long and it was very exciting, but had I did not know anything about how people would take the Mihawk shit and stuff like that, so I felt like I should just gather my thoughts and do it in this format. So anyways, I hope this isn't over like an hour long or something like that, but you know, I have to cut and paste and do some shit with the review, but yeah. That's how I feel about 1082. I'm going to go watch King of Lightning and Tekken 101. I don't think King's done his yet, but I think I saw Tekken do his. So yeah, I'm going to go watch that and see what he thinks about all this mess. He usually doesn't bring up like power scaling and shit like that, so I'm sure he's just going to be like, Mihawk's awesome, Crocodile's awesome, Buggy's awesome, and like we all should be, and go from there. I wish more people were more like Tekken. I really do. Just sit down, shut up, and enjoy the goddamn chapter, but apparently, that's too much to ask. So anyways, that's the chapter review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe. If I called any of you out, if you disliked the video and you want to leave a nasty comment, that's fine. It just means I struck a nerve. It is what it is, right? So anyways, drink responsibly as always, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you back here next time for the next piece of One Piece. Bye-bye.